Wow, we got a dozen on with us. All right, and it's 12:15. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to dive into this now. Is everybody that's here, with the exception of we've got a couple of guests with us, but you all have access to the start materials, right?
Yes.
Margin, do you have that? Because if you don't, I'll get it signed up for you.
I don't.
Okay. Just for everybody's information and for Margin, Brian Eisenhower has put together a START program. It's for new agents, and it's 12 classes in a row. And it covers everything you need, from sphere of influence to getting your database straight to doing listing presentations. And today we're talking about listing presentations, but the buyer presentations and all of that. And so tying into that, it's just a wealth of knowledge, and it would cost you, thousands, but we're getting it for free because of Brian. And I'm doing the beta test and teaching this class with Brian because I'm one of his certified coaches as well. So normally you'd have to pay $200 a month for the first 12 weeks, and then $600 a month. And it'd be self-taught. You have to go in and do it yourself. Whereas we're doing this as a group. And so it's being led. So this is a real bonus. So if you don't have access to it, please send me a text message so that I can get that email in and get you that access. And then if you have new agents or people that are working with you, when you show them it's just, to me, it's genius. The guy's brilliant. And it's like magic. You get to learn all of his magic tricks because good technique doesn't care who uses it. So let's get started. One of the things that I want to do is do the start of the video with Brian. So I'm going to take over the screen. Let me line this up. Real estate. There we go. ICC. All right. So I'm going to take over the screen. I'm going to show part of the video. Then we're going to go over some of the documents that are available to you. In these documents, there's a listing to closing checklist. There's everything you need. It's buyer checklist. It's a listing checklist. It's all to close, all the things you need to do. And it's in a editable PDF. So you can go in and put your own salt and pepper and change it a little bit, but you got everything you need. And for me, if I was going in for a listing, I'd show people how organized my process is, because that's what they want, somebody that they can trust and depend on. So let's start with Brian on video. Then we're going to go over the checklist. We're going to look at the workbook that's available, some of the scripts that are there. I mean, it's just a wealth of information. So this is one of my favorite classes, because you can go out and knock this out and just be successful one time and put tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket to get yourself really going. Because today, if you've got a listing, you got a winner, So let's, let me take over the screen. We're going to go to Brian. I had it set up. No.
Hi, this is Brian.
Can you all see this now? Do you see Brian? Thank you, Grozzy. Nods as good as a wink. Appreciate that. Okay, so.
Eisenhower, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the seller lead conversion process. And in particular, when we refer to a seller lead, this is someone that we meet that needs to sell their home sometime within the next year. That's a seller lead. They may not want to sell right now, but we know they're planning on it soon. And we see this all the time. And the failure to convert seller leads is one of the biggest heartbreaks out there for a real estate agent. So let's break down the seller lead conversion process into its most general and simple form.
So what we're going to do is this is a 1 hour. This is one of Brian's longest videos. It's an hour worth of chock full of information. We're going to listen to the overview and then dive into some of the pieces so that you can listen to the video on your own. And when he's talking about what to do, you can have one up on your phone and one on your computer and actually be doing it as he's going along, and just pause him and get it done, and then pause him and work right through it.
When we break that down, we can break it down into three general parts, right? And those three general parts we're going to show for you up on your screen are contact, appointment, and then contract. From contact to appointment to contract. Contact is really your initial, but oftentimes this is over the phone, when someone tells us that we are thinking about moving soon and we know they have a house to sell. That might be an online buyer lead too, and we're actually talking to someone looking for homes and they tell us they have a home to sell first. All of a sudden, we switch gears out of the buyer lead conversion process into the seller lead conversion process, because we want to make sure we put that horse out in front of the cart and get that home listed first. So our initial contact, for purposes of this training module, we're primarily going to be referring to that initial phone call, right? That's our contact. Then we move on to the appointment stage, right? This is usually meeting at the seller's home in person, so long as it's an in-town seller where they live in the house that they're selling. And we call this a listing appointment. That in-person appointment is often a listing appointment where you conduct a listing consultation, right? And it's usually at the end of that first listing appointment that we're trying to move to the final stage. Stage 3 is contract. That's where they actually sign the listing agreement, the authorization to list their home publicly for sale, usually at the end of the listing appointment, right? Oftentimes there will be a second appointment or a follow-up appointment too, but we try to do it in that first appointment when we can, right? So it should be very quickly. Stage 2 to 3 could happen at the same time, is what we're hoping for. And you'll see this is actually very similar to our buyer lead conversion process, where we go from contact to appointment to contract. Well, except the contact oftentimes usually the same. That's our initial telephone call. Moving to a buyer consultation appointment, hopefully in the office, and then we move into the buyer agency agreement as opposed to a listing agreement. The buyer agency agreement is our contract in the buyer lead conversion process. So it's really broken down into similar 3 steps. We're always moving from contact to appointment to contract. And I know that sounds simple, but it's probably where most agents make a tremendous mistake in seller lead conversion and lose out on a lot of listings to other people in competitive listing situations, or when the seller ultimately just lists with somebody else before you even know about it, right? Very important to successfully convert, to move from step to step, from contact to appointment. Not skipping over the appointment and going to contract, which is our biggest mistake we see out there, right? Most agents want to skip over the appointment stage and wait on the seller to be right. And similar to with the buyer lead, with converting buyer leads, the customer is not always right, and we need to understand that. Customers, just like buyers, when they are sellers, they definitely don't want to sell their home right now. They're just looking at possible homes they can buy. They're not ready right now. We're going to wait till the kids get out of school. We have some things to fix up at the house. We just don't feel like it right now. It's kind of like when someone says, I need to get in shape, or I need to lose weight, or I need to quit smoking. They know they need to do it. They just don't want to get into action now. Even though it may be in their best interest to get into action now, they want to do it later. So they don't want to entangle themselves with an agent right now. They don't want to do the hard work to get the results they want right now. So they've told you this, but they don't want you to push too hard right now to meet in person, right?
A wise man once told me, to know and not do is the same thing as to not know. You've got to get them, you've got to drive in the urgency, and you've got to cause them to self-discover their need to take action. Again, self-discover, not push them, help them to self-discover it with the right questions.
So in agents, people please too much too frequently, and will not try to show them the value of meeting right now and how that will ultimately do a better job of getting them what they want in the end. So a lot of times agents will not try to close an in-person appointment. People please and just wait with a seller lead until they're ready to actually sell their house. So they're skipping over the appointment stage and going from contact right down to contract at the end. And when we make that skip, we don't get them ready to actually sign the contract. Certainly not with us, could be with somebody else. And we're just waiting on them because we're too afraid to be assertive and be a professional and actually show them the need of meeting now so that they ultimately can sell when they want to sell later. And there is an art to that. When agents don't try to get in the door early, they have basically taken the seller's advice, and they don't realize that if we get a face-to-face appointment in person across a kitchen table from a seller, things soften up tremendously, and they actually tend to want to get into action quicker once we meet in person, right? Now, your materials and on the screen contain some examples of some of the most common objections that we're going to encounter on this initial phone call, where a potential seller will avoid meeting in person for an appointment. And these are some very common objections that you'll receive to meeting. Again, these aren't objections to listing necessarily. They're supposed to be objections that are preventing us from getting in the home. Some of those common ones would be still need to do a lot of work on the home, need to find a home before we list ours for sale on the market right now. That's the need to find a home before listing. We don't want to list because we can't find anything we want. I don't need to sell, don't really need to sell right now. Or we're not ready yet. We got other stuff we got to do. We need more equity in our home. We need prices to go up a little bit more before we can buy. Our home isn't worth as much as we think it is right now. We'll just wait till prices go up. And then we can't afford to pay a commission. Those are some common ones. And notice that actually none of those statements truly are objections to meeting in person. Those are actually all objections to listing the home for sale right now. And that.
And by the way, if you don't know how to deal with every one of these before you go in, you need to do some more preparation. There's the coach's 5 Ps. Prior planning prevents poor performance. But again, these are the objections to signing the contract, not getting the meeting.
That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to get an appointment. So it's crucial that you as a real estate agent are able to differentiate between the two. There's a difference between meeting now and actually listing the home for sale. So the way that we differentiate that over this initial phone call with a potential seller is we actually use the objection that they give us to listing as the actual reason that we need to meet with them right now. And we call this right back at you. It's listed in your materials as right back at you. So we just take that objection to selling that they give us and use it as a reason to meet, right? And we're going to give you a few examples of how we can use those objections as the reason to meet for the listing consultation to prepare them for when they're ready to sell, right? And as a note here, understand objection handlers are for overcoming these objections, and they're actually in your materials for you under that right back at you section. I'm going to go over them with you now or two to give you some additional ideas around them so you can take some notes around those in your materials as well too. And the first objection that we provide for you in your materials is when homeowners need to do repairs and improvements to the home before selling. So they got some work to do. They don't think it's ready yet. We got lots of work we still need to do. And understand, oftentimes, this is a spouse-to-spouse problem where the husband may say, I'm going to do those repairs myself. It's a big honey-do list that the wife gave the husband, or it could go vice versa. You never know. And they're saying, I'm going to do it myself, but the husband never gets to it. The wife wants him to get to it, but they just both assume that let's have somebody else come in and do it. It would make it a lot easier, but neither one wants to say that or admit that. So oftentimes you'll find that soften up right at an in-person meeting, very often actually. So in this point, we need to meet with them to give them advice on what to fix and what to leave as is. These are our deliverable talking points, and we can suggest less expensive ways to make some of these fixes or repairs for them too as agents. And we actually could also bring in our own preferred vendors to help them with that as well too, to take that work right away from them. So those are some of the reasons behind why that's not an excuse to meet right now. Actually, us meeting right now, by meeting, we can actually help them with that problem that's preventing them from moving to get in the house they ultimately want to go, but they don't know that. So they're just saying that I'm just looking, that we often get when we enter a department store from the department store greeter. even though we're there to buy something, we say, I'm just looking, just to kind of instinctively, naturally, subliminally push that greeter off. When we really are there to buy something. That's what they're doing to us when they say, we're not ready yet, we got some more repairs that we need to make. Well, there are some things we could talk about to help them out with that as well, too. Moving on to objection number 2, one of the most common objections is sellers need to find a home to buy before they list their current home. So they think they need to find a home to buy before they list their current home. They can't find a home to buy. When we do that, we can actually be meeting with them to set them up on an auto prospecting search, okay? And that's important because they need to find a home to buy. So how can we take that need, finding a home to buy? We can actually meet with them to actually set them up on a search so they can find a home to buy. This is not a time to explain to them that we can list their home and buy them a home on contingency. That's not what they need. Even though that is true, that's something we say in the listing appointment. If we start saying that over the phone, we're skipping the appointment and going right to listing over the phone. That will not work because it's not in alignment with their current needs. Their current needs, as stated, are they need to find a home. So how can we help them with those needs? By using the right back attitude method, we actually take that objection and use it as the reason to meet. So we stay combined within that reason to meet. And that reason is, let us set you up on a search to give you a wider range so you can look at all the homes for sale, to give you full realtor access so you can see all homes as they come up for sale the minute a realtor does. You'll start to see homes more quickly if they're searching on their own on all these secondary online searches like the Zillows and the Trulias of the world. They're looking at the homes most people didn't.
And we're gonna leave it here. There's more for you to dive into there. There's also an updated one in the materials where Brian talks about how to deal with it today's market. Because in today's market, if you've got a seller, they need to understand they own the world. They can get what they want because there's such a demand for the properties, that supply and demand so out of whack that, they can demand all kinds of things from the buyers and get what they want. Delayed closing, whatever it is. So we're going to skip out of that because I want to go through the materials. I want you to review this on your own. It gets deeper and better as we go down. So listing presentations, and you can see this here on the left. There's the video. Then there's a workbook, and we're going to dial into the workbook right now because that workbook is gold. So you get to go through this entire listing presentation. You can download it, and it just walks you right through everything you need to do. Converting the leads into the listing appointment. Here's what Brian's talking about. But there's scripts for right back at you. It's all there. And as Brian said, have these things ready to go in, and that prior planning prevents poor performance. There's 2 different listing presentations that are set up for you here. There's great graphics that you can just open up and download to your computer. How much is your home overpriced? The listing consultation is there in a zip. You can download that. Pre-listing consultation video scripts. To have a pre-listing video. These are just office shots that you can do that we have.
Hi, thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. My name is Robin Graham, and I'm the proud owner of Robin Graham and Associates. I understand that you have...
By the way, it's now Robin Eisenhower. That's Brian's wife. And her business is taken, as good as she is, her business has taken a quantum leap since they started working together back when we did the pie in the face.
Many options when it comes to choosing a real estate agent. So I'd like to take the time to share a little bit about why our team is the right choice for you when it comes to buying, selling, or investing in your next home. We believe that professional customer service to help you understand and feel at ease about the entire process is simply a minimum standard. When working with us, we take a consultative approach by listening to your wants needs, and timeline. We then find, innovate, and tailor solutions to get you where you want to go. Our timeline is your timeline. Secondly, it is our mission to always go above and beyond, and the proof is in our reputation. We consistently hold the reputation as leaders in the luxury market for the most homes sold. In addition, all of our associates are in the top 3% of all realtors in Kings and Tulare County. Don't take my word for it. I'd like to invite you to listen to some of our clients' experiences when they chose to partner with us to accomplish their real estate goals.
See, the positive experience that you get from them is because they're a team, and each one has their specialties, and each one seems to know exactly what they're doing to help you along in the process of, buying a home. And we were twofold because they sold our home and then they found us this home, like I said.
Our overall experience with Robin Graham was very positive. From the very beginning, Robin laid everything out on the table for us, gave us what our options were, but ultimately left it up to us which way we wanted to go. So we were one of her more longevity customers, I guess, because we had specific things we had in mind. So then she has developed a great team. They have people that come out that show you the houses. Then when you find the right house, they tell you how to write the offer so that you get it. And then she has even other people that in the office that do the paperwork, that remind us of things, that just help us so that it's very smooth process. So I really appreciated that from her.
We just can't say enough about Robin Graham and Associates. They're top notch, and we would tell anybody that, and we're 100% sincere in saying it.
Give us a call today, even if you're simply considering the idea of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. The sooner we can meet, the easier the process will be for you. Thank you, and I look forward to being your real estate expert of choice.
And you can do that and show them that even before you go to the house. Would set you up as an expert who's sharp as a tack, trustworthy, and a force of nature. And if you look here on the left, there's several pre-listing scripts that are all written for you. Written for you, and you can do them. And what they did there was just some simple green screen, which we have, and they had the clients do the testimonials and drop that in. I know that Arthur Malley and the Dream Team do things like this, and this type of pre-listing video, you're already an expert. You're already trustworthy. You're already sharp as a tack before you show up. And it's not going in going, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. It's the client's going, boy, they're great. And people will love clients saying they're great. You just can't beat your own drum as powerfully as they can for you, You've got 2 listing presentations here that you can download. They're rather large. I did download one of them. So I'm going to open that up for you. Okay. Thought I had it. Sorry. Let me see. So all you do is you go into clicking on your virtual listing, you download it, comes onto your screen and into your computer so you have it forever. I would go in and download all of these because it's just bits of information that you can store. You open that bad boy up and the complete PowerPoint is there for you and it's already done. Stock photos, virtual listing presentation. You can see all the things that in that zip that we just opened that are all available for you to make your own, including the complete script. So, and now you can send that to the clients even before you get there or bring it with you. Let's get your home sold. put this down at the bottom here. But it takes it right through. My mission is my promise to you. And you can go in and all of this is editable. You can change any word, you can change any picture and make it your own. And it's going to look like you spent days and money to get this done. And all it is good technique, doesn't care who uses it. Drop your picture in it, edit the changes, make the presentation work for you, put in those numbers. I've seen people publishing this on their Facebook page. You're getting that information from, the MLS. It tells them all the things you're going to do with facts. My average listing, you make 51% of home buyers attend an open house during their search. Let's talk to over half the people. They probably had some agent, oh, we're not going to do open houses. We don't need to. It's too busy. You want it. Pricing too high, price too. It takes them all the stuff that it makes it look like you are the expert that they need. People are much more concerned about who sells their house if they'll accept almost anybody as a buyer's agent because they don't know the business and they think a buyer's agent, all you're going to do is get me in the house. I'll do all the negotiations. Customers don't know what they don't know, but when people have a house to sell, they don't necessarily want their cousin selling it. They want the best person that's going to get them the most money. That's why you pick a Gladys or you pick an Ed or you do your business with Shane. That's why people do that, because they look at that reputation and they want that expertise, especially when it comes to listing houses. Okay, so let's click out of there. But you've got all the stock photos and everything that you have there. There's a whole zip of stock photos of virtual listing presentations. Those things are there and for you. So, look at these scripts. There's a 2-minute video script. It gives you the video, which you can copy, and the very script that goes with it. But this to me was huge. This is the pre-listing checklist. And this thing I love it. And Vera's made excellent use of this for Shane. But these pre-listing checklists, here's your pre-listing checklist. And the detail, listing to contract checklist. Look at the detail on this. And you all, let me make this a little bigger for you, sorry. But these things are all set up. And when someone sits down and takes a look at, here's what we're going to do. Here's all the things I'm going to do to get you the best price as fast as possible. Listing to contract, admin, all that. Now, Vera has taken this, and that's why Vera and Shane are so productive. She's taken this, and again, I use the phrase, put her own salt and pepper on it, make it work for her. But it's just the detail is done, and you can make it look like you're a genius. Your seller to closing checklist. This makes it so much easier to get things done. Everything's there for you. So dig into this material. It's really powerful. Any comments, questions at this point? Kind of like the text that I sent a bunch of people. Brian to me is a magician, and he's willing to let you look behind the curtain and just keep sending you all that information, the documents, the scripts, the techniques, and then in-depth explanations on how to do it. And when you get comfortable with what it is and start, then you can move into, there's a whole section in the Eisenhower materials on listing presentations that goes into a much deeper dive. Questions, comments, anybody? Especially Shane and Vera, feel free to pop in. Margin?
Yeah, no, but we can't order it.
All right.
Well,
I think we're having some connectivity issues there, and it sounds like he popped off.
It's very
So I guess,
comprehensive. Go ahead.
I don't know, I guess Margin is trying to say something, but yeah, we have this checklist for every single listing in case other guys don't do it, but we have it as a spreadsheet with multiple properties on it. And I have dates on all that, where they have days after acceptance. I have a due dates for all the things that you need to get done. So that definitely helps to get organized and push through the contract more efficiently.
Yep. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Go ahead, Marjan, you're there?
Yeah, no. What I was saying, yeah, that I have something similar to that, but this is a lot more comprehensive. One of the things that I'm doing with my listing, with every listing, is that I'm offering them a free appraisal. And the reason, believe it or not, I mean, the way I sell it to them is so we can avoid lowball offers, and that adds value. I had the last listing that I closed for 625, there was a comparable across the street that closed for 515, similar house. And the appraisal that we had done a month before for 625 basically gave me the asking price that we wanted, even though we had that comparable. And there was not a lot of comparables. So one of the things that I'm doing with the listings, aside from all these, the presentation, is offering that. And that's also helping me not to set the seller for, you know, a crazy price that they want 30,000 above. And I don't know, it helps me sell the listing a lot better.
Yep. And so what does that appraisal cost you, Marjan?
$350, man. It's tax deductible. So
$350 tax deductible, and it just brought you in a $20,000 deal.
right.
Well, the other guy across the street sold a similar house for $15,000. So yeah, I would think that, you know, spending $350 and giving them something that other people aren't giving them, and being the expert shows them that you're on their team, you're their wingman, and you got their back.
The only reason I mentioned that is because if you use this presentation and on top of that, you show the client that you invest money in your business, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable because they know, okay, this guy's out to get me the best. And that's the way they see it. When they see, I mean, put it like this, man, the client's son was asking, why is he doing an appraisal? And I was like, and the guy told him, hey, let him do what he needs to do. And look, a month later when we're closing, he proved me as the expert as to why we do the appraisal, because he's that the other house sold for $100,000 less, man, and they still got their 625. It's going to be the highest sold in that subdivision, which is going to help me get more listings, because when they see that I sold another house with the highest sold, people are going to come to me, hey, there's something he's doing that a lot of people are not doing. So you might want to offer that to your clients or your prospective sellers.
And do you think that homeowner that made over 100,000 more in his pocket than the guy across the street is going to tell everybody he knows about Marjan and what he did for him? And if anybody ever says to this guy, do you know a real estate agent? He's going to give the guy 20 minutes of, hey, listen, you got to have my guy. He's 100,000 better. He got me 20% more than the guy across the street. So, you know, all those little tips and tricks and hacks, put them to work for you, you know? And plus, if you've done that, first of all, you're going to get that listing. And if you've done that, you've got the glue. They're not looking for somebody else when you're giving them that value. Any other tips and tricks and hints that we use out there?
Marjan, do you also get an appraisal for a condo or mostly for homes?
Honestly, I offer that to every seller that I visit, and it's worth it. I mean, even the condos. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, again, it's $350 that you spend that will guarantee you a step above the next listing agent that visits them. One of the things I also do, I mean, and some people call me crazy, but I usually tell the prospective seller, If you want, go interview whoever you want. And then, call me when you see that I'm offering the most benefits to you. Because I do have a list of benefits. Aside from the presentation, I do have a list of benefits that I bring with me that I know a lot of people are not doing. Nobody's doing appraisals. Nobody offers you that, for sure. So I do it with the condos too. It doesn't matter what I'm selling. I want to know what the exact value is for two reasons. I'm going to use it in case they want to lowball me with the offers, or we have a problem with the lender's appraisal. That's what I tell them. And secondly, it sets an expectation from the seller as to how much he really can get. And when I do offer the appraisal, I also tell them, yeah, you can choose whoever you want. I'll pay for it. But 9 out of 10 times they're going to tell you, I don't know anybody. Just use the appraiser that you use. So I do it for everybody.
Yeah, I've done that for houses, but not for condos, because condos are usually around the same pricing. The market dictates
Right.
the pricing. That's why I was asking you.
Yeah, the reason I do is because it makes you look good. And it's money that, again, I'd rather spend it to guarantee myself the listing and a referral and then deduct it at the end of the year than not spend it. I mean, $350, to be honest with you, is really nothing in this market, because the commission that you're going to get is a lot more. So it's more of an optic, for the client. And trust me, like every client, like this guy that I just sold his house, he bought another one. So, $350 basically went to making me about $25,000. And that was the key. That key to that deal was that appraisal. And it's been the key to a lot of other deals that they skilled, and those people, I'm telling you, once they see you invest in your listings, they know that you're about their well-being and not yours, because everybody else, that's the perception that they have, that realtors are always out for their benefit. But when you turn it around and they see that, no, he's looking out for me, then trust me, you're going to get a lot of business.
And margin, just in round numbers, what would you say, including being in the hospital for all those days, but what would you say your volume is so far this year, más o menos?
I don't know, man. Right now, I got like 7 listings pending after I got out from the hospital, believe it or not. I don't know, man. But I probably have, transaction-wise, I'm going on 55 right now. I want to get to Shane's numbers, but that's going to take me a while, man.
Chase the rabbit, baby. Chase the rabbit. But anybody else on this call, would you be happy with 55 or even half of 55 transactions this year?
Right.
Absolutely.
No, I think I'm probably going to reach about 70. But again, there's a lot of the little details that we think are not important. Those are the ones that are making the difference. So,
yeah, I always say the difference between being good and being great is this much. It's just a little bit, but it's a little bit in so many different places that it adds up to be the whole world.
Let me chime in here real quick, John. That's the truth. I mean, any piece that can separate you from the next agent is paramount. I mean, the fact that Margin does appraisals on every one of his listing presentations, and that is gold right there. He really is separating himself. I do the same with my handyman services, where I walk into a property and I address any punch list items that they feel that need to be done as part of getting the property prepared to be sold. No one else is doing that. Who the hell's walking in there and offering them to do, a punch list of handyman repairs as part of, your services of helping them get the property ready, And of course, that comes with everything else that I point them in the right direction, from moving services to setting up utilities and waters and handling, the exit and the intro of a new home. I mean, it's a professional level of service that you're offering. And truly, it does stand out when you have every little piece covered. And, 90% of them are things that the homeowner didn't even think about themselves.
Yeah,
So,
having that
only
USP,
that
that
Shane is
unique
talking
selling
about that.
proposition. Go ahead, Margin.
Another thing this is if you're really willing to take risks. But one of the other things that I offer the seller is if they don't have the money to make the small repairs, I lend it to them. They pay me at closing. There's no interest. There's no fees. I make them sign a promissory note and I put a clause on the listing agreement. Usually, like Shane says, on that house that we sold for 625, there was a tub that needed resurfacing. It was already rusted. There was a vanity that needed replacement. And I told them, listen, we got to change this if you want top dollar, because if they see this, they're going to think that the rest of the house is messed up.
Mhm.
We did that. I lent them, I think it was, in all, like $1,200. And it helped us out a lot. I mean, that's if you're willing to take risks, because it is a risk, you know, but so far in every listing that I've gotten my money back. I mean, and I have a crew of handymen that do repairs, so that adds value. I mean, the connections that you got to let the seller know, listen, I have all these crews. I have an attorney, I have a handyman group, I have a lender, I have this, you know, at your disposal. And one of the things that I do is that I offer repairs. Sometimes if the people are in foreclosure, I can bring them up to date with a loan, and we get paid at closing. I mean, some people have, let's say, 2-3 months that they haven't paid their mortgage. If I bring them up to date, it's going to help us sell a lot better. It's going to give us time, and trust me, that's going to basically guarantee you that listing and a client for life. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but you got to take risks in this market, especially.
You are a
If
true
you're going to
partner.
take risk, you're in the wrong business. Go to 7-Eleven. Go ahead, Shane.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the reality is, you know, we're partnering up on every deal. You know, this is a matter of teamwork, you know, so.
You muted yourself, Shane.
I'm sorry. You know, I was saying you're a true partner here, right? You're stepping up with this homeowner and you're explaining yourself. You know, you're walking in there as a true business saying, look, I'm willing to partner up with you. I see what's happening here. These are my recommendations. These are the tools I have available to you. Most of the time it's at no expense to them, but you're simply providing and consulting them through what needs to be done. Like Margin says, he's stepping up, laying out the money. I'm doing the same because I'm providing, you know, the handyman services and laying out the money to get the work done. And truly what it's doing is getting us to the position where you're earning your keep every step of the way. They're truly building up value the more and more that you're showcasing that you're doing what needs to be done to get maximum dollar for their property. And all of this does really come to fruition. It does build up these relationships. It does build up loyalty. And I can't, you know, Margin, I'm sure will attest to it.
And you're listening to two guys between them that'll close over 200 transactions in the year for the two of them. So this isn't just if come maybe and some theory. This is in the streets, in the house, what works.
Guys, what do you do when you have furniture that does not get sold with the property and part of it is not so great to resell or to be taken by Salvation Army? I have a set of sofas that it's not real leather and it's kind of peeling off. So I already knowing that I'll have to deal with that. So I wanted to ask you, who do you use and what do you do? Of course, I don't have a storage and try to resell, but what do you usually do when this happens?
I usually have a guy that picks it up, takes it to the dumpster, and I pay him $75.
Okay, that's an idea. Okay.
It's a solution to the client because I'm telling you, and I get that money back. Every money that I spend, I put it on the contract. Every money that I advance on behalf of the seller has to be paid at closing. Otherwise, he'll become a lien on the property, you know, because you got to protect yourself and you explain it to them, you know. And I'm telling you, I haven't had a problem getting every dime that I invest on the listing, on repairs, on assistance. You know, it's worth it. But that's what I do with, I got a guy that picks it up, takes it away, and it's $75.
What do you put on the contract to protect yourself?
I put that every money advanced by the listing agent to seller, either for repairs or for mortgage payments to bring up the house to up to date if they're in foreclosure, will be guaranteed by a promissory note and will be paid at closing. If seller decides to cancel listing prior to closing date, all these funds are due immediately plus the cancellation fee. I've never had a cancellation in my life.
No, because
it
they're
all
all
goes down
in
to
with
that
you.
presentation. If you come in showing them value, this material today is more comprehensive than what I have. At the end of the day, if you make that seller feel that you're out to get them the best and you're offering everything that you have at your disposal, trust me. I mean, yeah, the presentations are great, but at the end of the day, you got to sell yourself and show them, hey, I care about you. We're going to get top dollar. I'm going to get you out of here, you know, in less than 45 days. I'm going to go ahead and have these repairs done. Don't worry about it. I'll bill you later, and end of story.
And if you want to have some fun, do what I do. Follow Margin on Facebook and see all of the people that are just expressing just so much happiness. I mean, I've seen people doing testimonials from Margin where they're literally crying that you saved me. You know, that stuff counts. People feel that from you. Go ahead, Shane. I was talking over you. Sorry.
No, all is well. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing to hear. You know, it's truly, you know, we're professional problem solvers, guys. You know, you want to have the answer to every problem, right? This is in your wheelhouse. You know, when you get into your presentations about all the scenarios that could pop up, it's just a matter of, hey, you know, you've got it handled. You've got a person, you know, you've got a person in place for that. You know how many permits and violations I've closed, you know, during contract to close, just to keep a deal on track, where most people are fumbling, putting it back on the owner, the seller, to try to figure out for themselves, where that could simply drag out and, you know, cause all sorts of issues with appraisals and rate lock extensions and buyers holding on. I mean, that's where the rubber hits the road. You know, you truly need to be, you know, solving those problems, stepping up and getting through. Half the time, and Vera will attest to this, the owners don't even know. The owners don't even know that they have the issue because I've already resolved it for them. You know, it's gotten to be that seamless in the sense of, you know, just being proactive and trying to, you know, just come up with solutions. I primarily, just the way I operate, is like I want to make sure I have an answer and way out of the situation even before I present the problem to the seller. You know, never have a conversation and then not have anything to this, you know, talking about a problem with the seller and not have a solution for it in the same conversation. You know, I've seen people call up homeowners and like, oh, so, you know, you got an expired permit for, you know, for an addition to your home. Someone hears that, you know, what kind of, like, you know, tragedy scenario they're feeling. And if you're just saying, okay, work on it and I'll get back to you, you're not doing the job. You know, you got to have a permit expediter in place. You got to get down to the city. You got to figure out. Sometimes it's just a clerical error. You know, it's not really that big of an issue. But these are the things, in the sense that as you get into it, you certainly want to have and lean on us, folks. And between myself, Margin, and everyone else that works here, we've got people we can help you with. You know, so it's all good. Like, we've all been through the scenarios before. But, you know, you certainly want to have a solution to the problem, and that will certainly bump up, you know, the way that people feel about you and how they think of you over the long haul.
There's an old saying in the business: some realtors watch things happen, some realtors make things happen, and some realtors wonder what the hell happened. Yeah, don't be in the first or last group. Be the one that makes things happen. We're 5 minutes over now. I really try to keep it tight, but this has really been, I think, a great one. So those of you that have to go, it's one. But those of you that want, we have Shane, we have Margin, we have Ed, we have, you know, Gladys. Ask any question right now that you have, and then we're going to try to bring this to a close. But I really appreciate the participation with Vera and Shane and Margin and all the things that are going on. So any questions from anybody?
Yeah, I have two questions. So I have two opportunities to find commercial real estate. One is to open a nightclub, and another is to open a hookah club / piano bar. So I have to check the zoning. Obviously, I don't know if you guys go to the city for that, or because I have to be creative. There's not really a nightclub spot for Hollywood. So I need to be creative on where to look for that kind of property.
So you have two investor clients that want to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so you need the space. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that city, you got to go to the zoning department with the city just to make sure that first you have true clarification of what can be done at that property. And then you can always file for variance, excuse me, to potentially change it to something else that you may need, right? But, that's just a quick answer, right? In the long haul, there's some legwork that needs to be done if you're trying to change the zoning on something to suit your needs. That's a bit of a longer investment that you got to make into doing stuff like that, because you'll have hearings, you'll have to hire attorneys and submit all sorts of plannings and so on. So there'll be a process there between, with your engineers. But,
And I think it would be good for her to touch base with you and Maddie and look things up on the commercial website, which is clearly different.
Yeah, all the loop nets, they'll tell you exactly what it's designated for. But if you're trying to change it for something else to suit your needs, then you're going to have to take a step further.
First, I want to see if there is anything that suits that. If not, if I need to change the zoning, then it's a second step. But,
Yeah, bring your broker in and get into LoopNet, because that's where you're going to find it, if it's available.
Yeah, if anything is available already, that's exactly where you're going to find it. You can search by what you need to, but that's the first move. If you haven't done that already, the next step is to find what could potentially, and that could turn into be a huge windfall too. I mean, if you're able to, get the zoning for something that's not currently there, that gives you some exclusivity for that business that other people just don't have.
Okay, so should I go look for Matt in which address right now?
Matt's still working, we've still in the office there on University, and you have his phone number. So just touch base with him that way, send him a text. Because he's, Matt's very, very busy in deals and all that, but send him a text and create an appointment, and, he'll work with you on it.
Well, do you have the LoopNet logins?
Well, that's the thing. I need to log into his computer. I used to have one in the office. That's why.
It's still there. Just come right
Okay.
in. Nothing's
Yeah.
changed. Just come right to
Okay.
the office is all.
Okay.
All right, there was 2 questions. Is that both of them? Because I think Gladys has something to say too. That's both? All right. Gladys, did you have something you wanted to say, or were you talking to Jerry?
No, I'm talking to Graciela, but what I wanted to say, Hollywood Boulevard have currently quite a few properties that at some point or another were either they were used for nightclubs or bars or restaurants. If you are specifically looking for an area where the business to a certain point has been developed, I will start by Hollywood Boulevard near the Circle.
Yeah, for sure.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of businesses have folded because of COVID. So this is probably in all the times of history, this is going to be one of the easier times to find restaurant and nightclub space.
Yeah.
All right, good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I really try to be
Thank you, guys.
sensitive to not running over. So we're 9 minutes over. Is there any questions that we have, or we'll call it a day? But we'll take a second to go around. Anybody?
Well, I have one more question that,
Please.
Graciela, if you come across that LoopNet telephone number or the way we can look up information, please share it with me, because I'm also looking for some commercial property.
Okay, we may have to go to the office so we can
Yeah.
use Matt's logins.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a designated computer for that, Gladys, that has the logins, because it's like it's one seat and they do it by IP addresses, so you have to use the same.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
thank you.
Well, we've got Brooke with us. Brooke, thanks very much for popping in. And we've had a good crew in today. We had 13, 14 people in. I'd like to end with, has anybody learned anything today?
Tons.
Yes, absolutely.
Just real quick, give me one thing that you learned today, and I'm going to go first, because, Margin's idea of paying for things in advance, that just creates so much glue. It makes you an expert. It makes you somebody that's on their team, and you're not trying to dip into their pocket. You're willing to go into your pocket to help them. There aren't other agents out there doing that, and that will carry the day. Anybody else?
Right on.
Yes, I do like the idea about paying for the appraisal.
Yeah.
I learned that today. It was a very good idea.
Worth the price of admission. On top of all the materials from Eisenhower, that
Right.
and what these guys have had to say, that's why these meetings, to me, are so important in our company culture. It's
Right.
not that I want you to come in and listen to me because I'm a genius, but together,
We know that, yeah.
together, we are genius.
Yes.
Yeah, sharing the knowledge is very important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Sharing is caring. All right, guys. Anybody else? Margin, really
Margin,
appreciate.
good seeing you again, brother. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Glad you
Man,
joined
thank
in.
you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Shane.
You're back on your feet. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
All right,
I
I'll
just
get this.
learned that I need to do more videos, man. Include that my video in the listing presentation, in the pre-listing presentation.
There's
Yeah.
5 of them there for you to just, figure out, take a piece from this one and that one and put it together, Frankenstein it.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna get this edited and these are all up if you go to the Real Estate Coaching Dude YouTube page and you click on videos. They're all listed there and I put up as in the card that shows it, you'll see that little piece and it'll have the date and it'll have the major content titles. So you can go back and review any of these that we had. And this one, there's some great points in there. So, all right, we're way over our time today. So I really appreciate, I value your time. I know when you take someone's time, you take a very valuable commodity. So thank you for your time and hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. Go out there and give value to your customers. Have fun and make money. You guys are much more fun when you're making
Bye,
money.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for showing up, guys. It's been awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you, John.
You bet.
Thank you, John.
Well done, everybody. Thanks, Margin. Grazi, great questions. Gladys, thanks for the input. Angelica, get better. I'm so excited. This has been a great class. I just really get off on great classes. It just resonates deeply with my coaching soul. So thank you.
All right, guys. All the best.
Bye. Bye.
All right.